Hi, so I'm just at the Hotwalls in Portsmouth. It's a fairly old area. Just going to look around the different parts of it. There's plenty of video that I'm going to be taking through here. Sea's on the other side of the wall, so you'll see that shortly. Some of the old streets of Old Portsmouth, as it says in the name. It's old. I think this is something to do with Australia for some reason. Let me get up closer and take a quick look at it. See what it says. I think there is definitely one in Australia somewhere. Let me get a better picture. The sculpture, it's called the Bonds of Friendship, known as the Links locally. And there's an identical one in New South Wales in Australia. It symbolises connection between Britain and Australia and commemorates the first sailing and establishment of the first European settlement there. And it was commissioned by Bruce Deller. Okay, we're just going to walk inside the Hotwalls area. I'll give some more information about what this is all about. What was it for? Why is it called the Hotwalls? Let's just get inside. The name the Hotwalls doesn't come from them getting hot in the sun and staying warm. It actually comes from an old military practice of heating cannonballs until they're red hot, firing them at enemy wooden ships. And they were part of the battery that was built in 17th century as a coastal defence for Portsmouth Harbour, which was a strategically important harbour for the UK. So I think these are tracks here for cannons, you can see, and the cannons basically poked out of there. There were 16 guns in all, 12 facing to the sea and 4 flanking the battery. And despite centuries of readiness, they were never fired in a real naval battle. That's Gosport over there. Okay, we're going to go up the windy stairs here. This is actually called the Round Tower. Obviously the lights are a new instalment. They weren't here back in the day. And the telescope. Oh, look what you can see in the distance. Across the water is Fort Blockhouse. It's a former Royal Navy submarine base, and it's home to HMS Dolphin. It's still a restricted MOD site, and to the right you will be able to see the green and white Gosport ferry boats that operate going across from Portsmouth to Gosport, and then on the left is a large marina. It's called Hasler Marina, and then in the distance you can see the Spinnaker Tower again. You probably heard me say that about 1,000 times. And yeah, you can see some of the naval ships that I think have set sail recently. This is a replica of one of the cannons that I talked about earlier. And then you can see here there's the catamaran that goes Isle of Wight to Portsmouth, and then in the distance that's actually Brittany Ferries, goes to France. You can see in the distance, and I'll zoom in, this is Spitbank Fort. It was actually built to defend Portsmouth Harbour from a French invasion under Napoleon III. It was built between 1861 and 1878. And it's part of the Palmerston Forts, which is a chain of coastal defences. And I'll talk a little bit more about that at the end. This boat, I've no clue what it's dragging behind it, so if you recognise what that is, please tell me in the comments. I will try and research it, but wasn't sure at all what that is. This is the Brittany Ferry, sails I think daily. Takes around 6 hours to get from Portsmouth to France overnight. I think it's a little quicker in the day, and it takes both foot passengers and cars across. Oh, this is Spice Island again, but up close. You may have seen that in my previous video. This sculpture is the Camber family. It's not actually a real family. It's there to represent a tight-knit community of fishermen, dockyard workers and harbourside families. Now I'm still trying to work out what this represents, so this is another one I'll let you know at the end. Lastly, we've got the Royal Garrison Church. It was built in 1212 and it's one of the city's oldest surviving buildings. It actually began as a medieval hospital and chapel, and then later it became the home of Portsmouth's military garrison. And in 1941 wartime, it was bombed by the Germans, and they destroyed its roof, and it was never rebuilt. And today, it stands as an open-air monument. And it's still used for remembrance ceremonies, military ceremonies, and it's right beside the historic harbour. Hi, welcome back. So I hope you enjoyed that. It was quite nice walking around there. A few things I said I'd cover at the end. So one that I didn't talk about, well, I did in the actual video about the 16 guns. It's actually 18, but they were added afterwards. So there were 18 around the whole of that fortification. The forts in the Solent, so the 3 forts. First one's called Spitbank. It's the first one completed around 1878, and it's the closest to the Portsmouth shore. And that could fire shells of about 800 pounds in weight, so pretty big. And it's now a luxury hotel, and if you want to stay there, it's going to set you back around £700 for the cheapest room. And this is what it looks like inside now. The second one, which is closest to the Isle of Wight being a small island off the south coast, that's called St Helens Fort, and that was really to protect the eastern Solent. That's now privately owned, and it's generally unoccupied. And the last one is Horse Sand Fort. That was completed at the same time in 1880. It's actually the largest fort, and it has walls up to 12 meters thick, and it had 20 or more heavy guns protecting that area. That's occasionally used for filming and events. And then the last one, I said about the boulder. I did a bit more digging into that, and actually it's called the Baltic Boulder. So that marks an extraordinary act of bravery, and it was during the Crimean War. That was in 1854. 2 sailors from HMS Hecla, they took cover behind the stone and held off a large Cossack attack, allowing their comrades to escape. So the captain was so impressed, decided to bring it back on his ship, and that's now a monument sitting outside the Hotwalls. So again, hope you enjoyed it. I'll be off to China and Hong Kong in April, so through the weekend I'll try and do a bit more filming there. I think there'll be a few things coming out of that. It's pretty interesting, actually, particularly Shenzhen, which is where I spend most of the time. That's like the most futuristic city that you can go to. Well, other than that, as usual, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.